Okay, I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Picture this. You're standing on the ice at Madison Square Garden. You are the king of New York. 20,000 people, they're all screaming your name. The bass is thumping, lights are everywhere, and your heart is just hammering because you're Scott Hunter, captain of the New York Admirals, an Olympic gold medalist, a god on skates. You got that.
It's a pretty high-octane image.
Right. Okay, now, hard cut two. The smell of kale and, like, stale coffee in a tiny little juice bar in Brooklyn.
That is quite the scene change.
It's whiplash is what it is. And that's where we meet Kip Grady. He's 25, living at home with his parents, completely buried in student debt. And he's wearing this apron that he just despises.
A history major making smoothies.
Exactly. So these two guys, they exist in totally different universes. But today we're doing a deep dive into Game Changer by Rachel Reid. And we're going to look at what happens when those universes collide.
And it is collision. I mean, on the surface, yes, it's a romance.
Oh, well.
But when you look at the source material we've got, this is really a fascinating case study.
On what?
On the psychology of high-performance pressure, the culture of these hypermasculine spaces, and the just crushing weight of being in the closet in professional sports.
It's the ultimate opposites attract story, but the stakes just feel so incredibly high because of the setting. You have Scott, the closeted superstar who has literally everything, and Kip, the cynical barista who, barely knows what icing is. So let's dive in. Where does this even start? Because they don't exactly run in the same circles.
Well, it starts with a slump. And we need to be clear about what a slump means for an athlete like Scott Hunter. It's not just a bad day at the office.
No, it's a total disaster for him.
It's an identity crisis. The text says he hasn't scored a goal since November. In the NHL, if your captain isn't scoring, the media, the fans, they all turn on you. And you start to question everything. He's desperate.
And desperation makes people do weird things.
Like wandering to a juice shop called Straw Plus Berry.
Yep.
Exactly. Scott just wanders in after a run, all sweaty and stressed out. And he meets Kip. Now, Kip is, let's be honest, he's hungover, he's miserable, probably the worst employee in New York that morning. But he makes him a smoothie. It's called the Blue Moon over Brooklyn.
Which I have to say sounds pretty good.
Scott drinks it.
Yeah.
And that night, magic.
Yeah.
He scores a hat trick, 3 goals, and gets 2 assists. It's the game of his life.
Okay, so logically, we know the smoothie didn't actually make him score. It's just fruit and yogurt.
We know that.
But Scott doesn't see it that way, does he?
No, he does not. And this is where we get into the psychology of superstition. It's all about variable rewards. Think about, like, B.F. Skinner and his pigeons.
Okay.
If you do something and get a reward sometimes, but not always, you become obsessed with the ritual that got you the reward. Scott has been trying everything and not scoring. He drinks this smoothie once and has an incredible game.
So his brain just instantly wires that connection. Smoothie equals goals.
He's hooked. Not on the smoothie, really, but on the whole ritual.
Right. So he goes back.
He goes back specifically for that smoothie. And, for the guy who made it, he starts calling Kip his good luck charm. But the funny part, the part I love in the text, is that Kip is completely oblivious.
He has no clue. He's just thinking about his dumb apron with the strawberry on it and cringing inside. Meanwhile, Scott Hunter, who looks like a literal Greek statue, is looking at him like he hung the moon.
Kip's internal monologue there is just great. He's so down on himself. But what's interesting is how the power dynamic shifts. Usually, the celebrity holds all the cards, right?
Totally.
But here, Scott is the one who needs something. He needs Kip.
He needs the smoothie and he needs the guy. And so he breaks that barrier, not with money, but with an invitation. He offers Kip tickets to a game.
And not just any tickets. His personal box seats. Like 6 rows from the ice.
Whoa. That's prime real estate.
It is. So Kip brings his best friend Elena. She's this super smart cybersecurity engineer. We'll talk about her more later.
Yeah.
And they suddenly realize, oh, this guy isn't just a customer. He's the guy. But I think the real turning point happens away from the rink. It's at a charity fundraiser.
Oh, the burger joint night. I love this scene. It's so awkward and perfect.
It just highlights the class divide so well. Kip is there working. He's a server, wearing a tux, holding a tray. He's the help.
And Scott is the guest of honor, the main attraction.
But Scott flips the script. After the event, he finds Kip and asks him to get a burger. But, and this is the detail that just kills me, he looks down and realizes he's in a tuxedo.
And you can't go to a dive bar in a tux.
So what does he do? He runs into a bodega.
A bodega.
And buys a cheap, scratchy Brooklyn tourist hoodie and a hat so he can go incognito.
A multi-millionaire athlete wearing a tourist hoodie just to eat a burger. It's funny, but it's really sad.
It's so revealing about his isolation. The source material is clear on this. Despite being surrounded by people all the time, Scott is deeply lonely. He's never brought anyone home. He has to literally put on a costume just to feel like a normal person for an hour. He's desperate for a connection where he doesn't have to be the captain.
And that desperation, that night, leads them back to his place. This insane penthouse with panoramic views of the East River. And that's when they enter the bubble.
Yeah, things get very intimate. But you have to notice the rules Scott sets up immediately. This isn't a relationship, it's a secret. And to understand why, we have to look at the context the book gives us about NHL culture.
Yeah, let's unpack that, because it's not just a don't ask, don't tell thing, right? It feels much more aggressive.
It's described as a culture of conformity. In these high-level team sports, the worst thing you can be is a distraction. You don't want to be the nail that sticks out.
And the whole environment is just hyper-masculine.
Completely. The locker room talk is filled with casual homophobia. Scott is terrified that if he comes out, he loses the respect of his teammates. He loses his authority as captain.
So he sets up this friends with benefits deal with Kip, strictly behind closed doors.
Yeah.
You come over, we hook up, you leave.
That's the plan. But you can see the cracks in that plan almost right away. It stops being just about the hookup. It's the small domestic things. The text mentions these really specific details, like Kip buying Scott these blueberry socks as a good luck charm for road trips.
The socks! That was such a sweet, goofy little detail.
And them cooking eggs together in the morning. These are not the actions of a casual fling. These are the building blocks of intimacy. Scott thinks he just wants a stress reliever, but what he's actually starving for is care.
Speaking of why he needs that care, we need to talk about the villain of the story, Frank Zulo.
Ugh, Zulo. He is a real piece of work. He represents the most toxic parts of that hockey culture. He's a teammate, but he's also a homophobic, aggressive bully.
He uses slurs against his own roommate.
He's the external manifestation of everything Scott is afraid of.
And Scott's the captain. He has to manage this guy. He has to, like, high-five him after a goal, all while pretending to be one of the guys with someone who would hate him if they knew the truth.
The psychological burden is just massive. The villain eventually gets cut from the team for legal trouble, which is, satisfying. But the danger he represents is real. And then there's the other antagonist. The sport itself. The physical danger.
The injury scene. That felt like a huge shift.
It is. Scott blocks a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot to save a game. For anyone who doesn't watch hockey, it is just brutal. A puck is frozen rubber. It's a weapon.
And Kip is in the stands watching it happen. He sees Scott just go down.
He's terrified. And when Scott gets home, he's not the Greek god anymore. He's just covered in this massive, ugly bruise. He's in pain.
Yeah.
And this is where the dynamic moves from a sexual hookup to a real caring partnership. Kip is putting ice packs on him. Kip is making him dinner.
Scott finally lets his guard down.
Completely. He lets Kip see him when he's broken. And that requires a level of trust that Scott has never given to anyone. He allows himself to be vulnerable, which is the exact opposite of the tough guy persona he's built his whole life.
But even with that trust, there's this giant elephant in the room we haven't really touched on. The money.
The wealth gap is staggering.
It's the whole prince and the pauper thing. Scott's a multimillionaire, and Kip is literally counting tips to pay his student loans.
And that creates so much friction. Scott keeps trying to solve problems with money. He offers to buy Kip a tuxedo, pay for things, and Kip just pushes back. Hard.
Why, though? I mean, if my millionaire boyfriend wanted to buy me a tux, I'd probably let him.
It's about identity. It's about agency. Kip is already the secret boyfriend. He's already hidden. If he also becomes the kept boyfriend, totally dependent on Scott financially, he feels like he loses his sense of self.
He doesn't want to be a charity case.
Exactly. He wants to be an equal partner, and that's why he's trying so hard to get a real job during all of this. He's interviewing at the Museum of the City of New York. He's trying to build his own life outside of Scott's shadow.
And we have to mention Elena again here, because she becomes this crucial buffer for them.
She's the shield.
Yeah, to the outside world, when they go to games or events, she's the one who looks like the date, right?
Right, she sort of functions as a beard, though it's a bit more complex than that. She goes with Kip to the games, to the gala. It lets Scott and Kip be in the same public space without anyone getting suspicious. But that secrecy is exhausting.
Which brings us to the climax, the Equinox Gala. This is just high drama.
Oh, it is. Scott is there as the celebrity donor. Kip is there as Elena's +1. And he's wearing a suit that, let's be honest, Scott basically paid for.
The scene where they have to shake hands, ugh, it's agonizing.
It's so painful. Scott has to shake Kip's hand and call him Christopher.
Christopher. It's so formal and cold.
It's his legal name, but nobody calls him that. It's a performance. Scott is playing the part of the polite, detached athlete, but inside, the text tells us he's in love with the man whose hand he's shaking.
And he's watching Kip and Elena dance, and it's just eating him alive.
It's that moment where you have everything society tells you is important, but you have absolutely nothing that you actually want. He realizes that the pain of being in the closet, the pain of not being able to dance with the person you love, it finally outweighs the fear of what the Frank Sulos of the world might think.
And then they sneak away. The balcony scene.
The quiet alcove. And this is where the two worlds finally, for just a moment, merge. Scott drops the mask. He admits that he isn't just using Kip to escape his life anymore.
He realizes Kip is the missing piece.
Kip is his life. He wants to be the one dancing with Kip. He doesn't want to hide in the penthouse. And that realization, that's the real game changer.
Pun absolutely intended.
It fits.
Yeah.
He understands that a life lived entirely in the dark isn't really a life at all. It's just an existence.
So if we zoom out a little bit, we've gone from a superstitious smoothie to this high-stakes secret romance. What's the big takeaway here? Why does this story resonate so much?
I think it connects to this really universal human need for connection, a need that's bigger than professional success. Scott has it all right. Money, fame, talent, gold medals.
Everything. But he's starving.
He's starving for the one thing he thinks he can't have. The story suggests that these professional barriers we build, whether it's the NHL or a law firm or any high-pressure job, can force us to suppress our own humanity.
We split ourselves in two, the work self and the real self.
Exactly. But eventually, that humanity demands to be seen. Scott can't be a machine forever.
It really makes you think about the cost of greatness. We put these athletes on pedestals, but if being the best at what you do requires you to hide who you are, is the glory actually worth it?
That is the central question, isn't it? And I think the book argues that the real game changer isn't the sport. It's finding the person who sees the real you behind the jersey and the stats, the person who knows you like blueberry socks, not just hat tricks.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the most important stats are the ones that never show up on the scoreboard. Thanks for listening to this deep dive into Game Changer.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.